Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Holman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag feature, Ken sits down with Senator Moran to discuss waters of the U.S. and the lesser prairie chicken. Inside Kansas Ag has a report from Kansas Soybean on ROI of checkoff dollars, and Farm Bureau talks about their Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference. In the news you need to know, we have our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association. We'll look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. The Nestle Food and Beverage Company has announced an animal welfare agreement with World Animal Protection. The company says it will require its more than 7,000 suppliers of animal products, from milk to meat to eggs, to adhere to stricter animal welfare practices. An example is spacing requirements for pigs and cows to allow for ample room to engage in normal animal behavior. Reports show that U.S. dairy farmers are hanging on to their cows to take advantage of higher milk prices. The nation's dairy herd was 9.27 million cows in July, 5,000 more than in June, and 37,000 more than in July of 2013. With milder weather and lower feed prices, milk production is steady to slightly higher, with spot loads of milk bringing 50 cents to $2 over class price. USDA's National Organic Program has tightened the requirements for the use of brand or company names that contain the word organic on the labeling of packaged food products. Products must be 95% organic in order for the front label to say organic. The policy clarification is intended to provide fairness in the label use throughout the organic industry and to satisfy consumers' expectations of organic products. And in local news, the Kansas Department of Agriculture is hoping to help improve and grow the Costa Rican beef industry while increasing the opportunity for sales of U.S. beef, and specifically Kansas beef genetics. The demand for higher quality beef in Costa Rica is being fueled by a growing middle class, as well as an expanding tourism industry. Kansas cattlemen will participate in a field day with Costa Rican cattlemen in January of 2015. Kansas was the last leg of a 10-day tour that Filipino milling industry traders took in mid-August that was hosted by the U.S. Wheat Associates. The 5 wheat traders spent time touring facilities within our state that showcase the quality of U.S. wheat. The U.S. has been supplying wheat to the Philippines for more than 50 years, and it's the 5th largest market for U.S. wheat. Beef Products Inc. reopened its Garden City, Kansas processing plant after increased demand for lean, finely textured beef. The reopening of the Garden City plant comes more than 2 years after its shutdown, following a national media controversy over the BPI product. The company aims to hire 40 to 45 people for the Kansas plant, which had 230 employees prior to its closure. Kansas cattle on feed numbers were down again in August by 5% from 2013. July marketings were down by 9%, and placements continued the trend, down 6% from last year. Up next in our Ag feature, Ken sits down with U.S. Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas to discuss waters of the U.S. and the lesser prairie chicken. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned.
I'm Ken Rogers from agview.net. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, conversation with U.S. Senator Jerry Moran, where we talk Farm Bill, transportation, and the overreach of the federal government.
This segment brought to you by Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. GrassandGrain.com.
A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com.
The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, and you have never seen a selection of America's best lineup like this before. We've got year-end sales pricing right now on Ford, Lincoln, and Mazda. You won't want to miss 0% interest on select models, top dollar for your trade, and if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll get it. The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
At Ag Risk Solutions, we have been helping our clients make better crop insurance decisions since 1981. We always focus on helping you find the best coverage options for your farm, and it will give you peace of mind knowing you have a partner you can trust. To learn more about our agency, please visit our website, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter. Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution.
Ag Risk Solutions is an equal opportunity provider.
Your summer starts at Dick Edwards Auto Plaza. Hit the beach, hit the mountains, hit the trails in the all-new Jeep Wrangler. Jeeps are made for fun, and that's just what you'll have when you slip behind the wheel. Turn the key and start your adventure. Isn't it time you hit the open road? Drop the top. It's time for smiles from coast to coast in America's legendary pony car, the Ford Mustang. Experience the power, the excitement, and the thrills that only a Mustang can bring. Get out and enjoy summer the way it was meant to be. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza, I-70 and Highway 77 in Junction City.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
We're being joined now by Kansas U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. Well, Senator, here we are in the waning days of the August break. You yet again traveling around the state. What are you hearing from constituents?
You know, Ken, I think there's just a theme. First of all, most people don't come to me and say, I need something from government. In fact, what they come to talk about is they're worried about the future of their country. They're worried about what's going on in Washington, D.C. and what it means to their kids and grandkids. So there's a great amount of concern. Some people have fear about the future, and they see Washington, D.C.'s inability, unwillingness to come together and solve any problems. So there's a real sense of frustration. They're just fed up with what's going on in the nation's capital.
A lot of things let's get to. First is that regulation and what many people see over-regulating of agriculture. This is not something new, but it seems like some of the tactics, especially by the Environmental Protection Agency, really harmful to agriculture.
Absolutely. What's in a farm bill is important. Trade policy is important. But in my view, the greatest threat to production agriculture, to family agriculture across the Midwest, is the regulatory mess that's coming our way from Washington, D.C. And it's the EPA, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, the junk that gets in the way, and the belief that in Washington, D.C., that one-size solution can fit all problems. Here in Kansas, you would put waters of the United States, navigable waters front and center, concern about what the EPA, despite their assurances, what's really going to happen. And then a real problem with the potential listing of the lesser prairie chicken. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is headed down a path that is very detrimental to rural America. For those of us who produce oil and gas in our states, the production of electricity, rural electric cooperatives, but especially production of agriculture and the land management practices, the setting aside of habitat, those are things that are going to be real problems for agriculture. And in my view, the greatest threat we face And what we want is sound science and some common sense. And in all of these instances, that's missing.
We'll talk more water in just a little bit, but I guess just first, the EPA, is that an agency that can be trusted?
You know, no. I mean, the answer is no. Even if you believe that when the EPA says even though we're going to change the definition of navigable waters, that we're not going to change anything about what agriculture producers are doing today, even if you believe that, which I don't, but then what happens when some environmental organization files suit to try to force the EPA to do more? What seems to happen so often is an agreement is reached outside of court between the EPA and an environmental organization. A judge approves that agreement, and then when I go complain to the EPA, they say we have no choice. We're under a judge's directive.
We are talking with the U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. We'll have more in just a moment. You're watching Kansas Ag Report.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
We're being joined by Kansas United States Senator Jerry Moran. We've been talking about the waters of the United States, the proposal from the Environmental Protection Agency on changing maybe the definition of what that all means. Senator, this is wide-ranging, not only agriculture, but industry, even golf courses, and some recreation folks are getting involved now.
Ken, this is huge. When the water law was passed in the 1960s, it restricted the activity of the federal government to navigable waters. And what the EPA is now saying is that anything that affects navigable waters is what we want to regulate. That's everything. That's every drop of rainfall. I come from Western Kansas. Water is important. We need quality and quantity. But we need common sense here, and we need local involvement as compared to some decision from on high in Washington, D.C. So this is a circumstance that is going to be very damaging to people's private property rights, but more, perhaps importantly, to their ability to earn a living on the land they own.
You bring up the phrase common sense. I think probably as you travel the state, people say, where is the common sense in Washington to stop things like this proposal?
You know, this is a very frustrating part of my job, particularly in Washington, D.C. these days. The Senate is not operating the way that it should, isn't operating the way that it has historically. And in fact, Senator Roberts and I have legislation, an amendment pending that has broad support, including from some Democrats. In fact, we think we might be able to win if we took a vote to rein in the EPA on this issue. But as a result of the fact that the outcome may be in our favor, the bill that we would amend, the appropriations bill for the Department of Interior, is not going to be considered by the Appropriations Committee or by the U.S. Senate. So in order to avoid, in my view, Democrat senators having to choose between President Obama's agenda and the wishes of their constituents back home, at least many of their constituents, we simply won't do the appropriation bill. And that's a terrible mistake, and great harm comes from that method of leading the Senate in which we want to avoid taking votes. That's very harmful to democracy in the United States and lends itself to this belief, rightfully so, that nothing's getting done in Washington, D.C.
Can that change?
Elections occur. Every 2 years there's an election. In fact, about a third of the United States Senate is up in November of this year. And a different majority means a different majority leader. And I have no doubt that if there's that change, if that change occurs, that we're back in business in which maybe we don't win every issue. Probably we don't. We're a minority, those of us who care about agriculture in rural America. But the opportunity to have the fight, to lay out the groundwork, to make the case, that's something that will occur. And every once in a while, we'll win a battle that's important to us.
We've been talking with Kansas U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. I'm Ken Rogers for AgView.net. You're watching Kansas Ag Report.
You can find us on the web at kansasAGreport.com and make sure to like us on Facebook.
Under the soybean checkoff program, all U.S. soybean farmers contribute a small percentage of their gross soybean sales for research and marketing projects that maximize their profit potential. According to an independent study, the checkoff continues to grow those small investments into big results. Farmers always are looking for ways to improve profitability and efficiency. A recent return on investment analysis showed U.S. soybean farmers gained from the checkoff. The study found that all U.S. soybean farmers receive $5.20 in profits for every dollar they invest in the program. Gary Williams, the agricultural economics professor at Texas A&M University who conducted the study, said 5% of all U.S. soybean farmers' revenues are due to the checkoff's research and marketing efforts. He pointed out the checkoff has increased the size of the U.S. soybean industry, lifted the markets for U.S. soybeans, meal, and oil, increased U.S. soybean exports, and reduced the competitive threat from South America's soybean industry. As a result, U.S. soybean farmers currently enjoy a larger share of the global market. The checkoff's benefits, in terms of net additional returns, have far exceeded the cost of the program's expenditures over time. You can learn more about what the soybean checkoff does in Kansas by visiting kansassoybeans.org on the web.
Kansas Farm Bureau is proud to have a flourishing Young Farmers and Ranchers program that provides for hardworking agriculture professionals dedicated to improving their leadership skills and empowering others to become actively engaged in ag advocacy, promotion, and education.
Young Farmers and Ranchers are between the ages of 18 and 35 and include students across the state who belong to one of 12 collegiate Farm Bureau clubs at colleges in Kansas. Our program is guided by a volunteer state committee of Young Farmers and Ranchers representing each of the 10 districts in the state. One of the biggest undertakings for this group is the planning and implementation of the State Young Farmers and Ranchers Leaders Conference in late January each year. This past conference saw a record attendance of 600 young ag leaders in Manhattan. The 3-day event features great food, people, and programs. Competitions like the discussion meet and the Collegiate Ag Quiz Bowl highlight the first day, along with some fun activities. A national keynote and 12 unique workshops, as well as a great trade show and awards luncheon, make for a full Saturday. And finally, attendees can enjoy a fun Chris Cakes breakfast and wrap up with a high-energy closing keynote. One event open to any Farm Bureau member is our photo contest, and they can enter in any of 3 categories: Faces of Ag, Seasons of Ag, or Uh-Oh Monday. Log on to kfb.org/photo contest for more information.
If you'd like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call at 785-554-5974.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Impact Satellite, your local authorized DirecTV dealer. Impact Satellite at 785-554-5974.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Your summer starts at Dick Edwards Auto Plaza. Hit the beach, hit the mountains, hit the trails in the all-new Jeep Wrangler. Jeeps are made for fun, and that's just what you'll have when you slip behind the wheel. Turn the key and start your adventure. Isn't it time you hit the open road? Drop the top. It's time for smiles from coast to coast in America's legendary pony car, the Ford Mustang. Experience the power, the excitement, and the thrills that only a Mustang can bring. Get out and enjoy summer the way it was meant to be. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza, I-70 and Highway 77 in Junction City.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, and you have never seen a selection of America's best lineup like this before. We've got year-end sales pricing right now on Ford, Lincoln, and Mazda. You won't want to miss 0% interest on select models, top dollar for your trade, and if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll get it. The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Since 1983, the Hydrobed has been utilized on cattle operations throughout North America. The Hydrobed equips your 3/4 or 1-ton truck for hay handling and feeding. Variable speed cable controls or the optional wireless remote enable you to haul, transport, and unroll 2 round bales weighing up to 3,000 pounds each. A mechanical free float automatically compensates for uneven ground and out of round bales, isolating you and the truck from impact of bale unrolling. To find out how the Hydrobed can improve your feeding efficiency, call or visit us on the web at triple-c-inc.com.
The Ag Marketing Service is accepting comments until November 13th on possible revisions to USDA quality and yield grading standards. USDA is seeking input due to changes in the cattle and beef business since the current standards were created years ago. Quality grades are determined mostly by marbling and maturity. The grades of Prime, Choice, Select, and Standard reflect differences in flavor and eating satisfaction of cooked beef. Significant changes such as grass feeding, instrument grading, management, and export requirements have taken place in the beef industry since the current quality grade standards were adopted in 1997. AMS is seeking input from cattle producers, packers, the public, and other sources before revising grades to better reflect beef available for consumption. Yield grades are used to predict the percentage of a carcass that should yield boneless, closely trimmed retail cuts. These grades are important in determining value of both live cattle and beef carcasses. The beef yield grade standard and equation were developed 50 years ago. AMS also is requesting comments on a review of USDA's beef instrument grading program. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association will assemble a special working group to study the grading standards and the review of the beef instrument grading program. This group's conclusions will be the basis for formal input provided by NCBA on behalf of cattle producers.
Good morning. I'm Eric Osterhaus with Paragon Ag. As we move into the Labor Day weekend, we continue to see pressure across the grain markets. We've especially noted the break in soybeans that we saw here this last week. New crop soybeans dipped into fresh contract lows as favorable precipitation forecasts for the next few weeks and the lack of extreme temps kept the pressure on. We've slipped below some short-term support and are dangerously close to breaking some longer-term technical support as well. There has been some talk locally of quality issues such as sudden death syndrome, but there will need to be a much larger issue across a bigger part of the soybean growing area to put the estimated record crop in doubt. Meanwhile, the corn market has been pretty stubborn, and it seems to want to hold its 15-cent range it's been trading for the last several weeks. We've seen several small rallies in corn which appear to be sold into as many farmers see a large crop on the horizon and are starting to let go of some of their bushels. We've also been hearing some early harvest results. The early southern U.S. harvest yields we've heard have been running above expectations, which has reinforced the bearish tilt to the market. Wheat continues to trade near the bottom end of its range, but despite every reason for it to do so, it's managed not to break the longer-term support we've seen near $6 futures. If you have any questions on these markets, please call Paragon Ag at 888-452-8751. Have a great week.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.